you want. Come on.
Okay, here we go.
Siman Bet. So I saved them.
Okay, thank you for the info.
We see where you stand on that matter.
Excuse me.
We try to minimize violence today as much as possible. It's just not accepted. Not a good idea. Stay away from violence. Be verbal. Just express yourself. That's the way to do it today.
Not that today.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 So again, what did you say we want?
He said Sivbet.
In the tour.
Okay, that's Siman. Hey.
Vav.
Vav, right? Got it. Got it. Okay. Right, so we're starting bet. Right, that's what you said, right? Okay, so ve'im holech miad lebet hakneset. Right, that's the one. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just looking for the tour here. 1 second. Okay, got it. So it says Vim olech miad lebet knesset. If he goes right away to Bet Knesset, true. Everybody got the place? ורוצה להמתין מלברך על נטילת ידיים. So we mentioned this before, right? Some have the custom that they do netilat yadayim. First they wash, but they mention netilat yadayim. They say in the shul they bless, with all the other blessings in the shul. You remember we talked about this? So he's talking about this case over here. So let's say he wants to wait and say the bracha netilat yadayim when he gets to shul, right? שיסדר, I'm sorry. שיסדר אותם שאר הברכות, right? He wants to do it together with the other brachot, as we said. הרשות בידו, he says, so the Torah says you're allowed to do that. Right? That's the shita of the some Ashkenazim, some Ashkenazim hold this way. Okay. Omnam, I'm sorry.
That's the end of the.
Got it. Okay, good. Very nice. Let's look at the Bet Yosef. Right. So it says in the Man Bet Yosef, I'm skipping over. It says, Kavar Katavti the Siman Dalet. It says, I already wrote in Siman Dalet, as we said, I mentioned this already. B'Shem Haram, in the name of the Ram. Right, who's the Ram? The Rabbi Meir, Mirotenburg. Right? I'm sorry, this is Tashbetz, whatever. But Sheno Mevarech ala Netilat Yadayim. He says, you don't bless Netilat Yadayim because you don't tell Yadav ad ba'ol the Bet Knesset. He says, you don't bless it until you come to the shul. This is the shita of the Ram. Rabbeinu Koted Kan. So he says, but Rabbeinu writes here, for Rabbeinu, the Torah, it's like optional, Yeah, you can do that if you want or not, whatever you feel like, whatever comes to your head. So, right, so, right. So if he wants, he can do it at home. If he wants, he can do it in the shul, whatever. Then we katav Rabbeinu Gadol. You got that? Right after the next piece, Bet Yosef. Katav Rabbeinu Gadol, Mari Avuhav. It says, Sheken Katuv Besamak. That's the it's written Samak, right? Which is it's called, what Samak? Sefer Mitzvot Katan. It's a Rishon. Sefer Mitzvot, it's called. Katav al Zeh, he writes there, Sheyesh lefakpek bo, right? So he says there's some objection here, he says about this. Right? Shemeachar shekol hamitzvot tzarich levarech over aliyah satan. So it's wait a second. But don't we have a rule, that you have to bless right away after you do the mitzvah? So then how can you wait until you go to shul? You know what I mean? What's going on with that? You know what I mean?
How can you bless after you
after you already went to shul, so a lot of time elapsed already 10 minutes, whatever, 15 minutes, How can you wait?
Your Pepsi.
Exactly, you gotta do the bracha right away. So how can you wait? What's going on with that? So it says, "V'lo itiru b'tilat ela lefi shelo haya rawi levarech kodem." V'lo itiru I'm sorry, 1 second. Yeah. "V'lo itiru b'tila ela lefi shelo haya rawi levarech kodem." So he says, you know what? So, you know what he's saying over here? It's even more. In other words, the general rule is like this, okay? When you do a mitzvah, first the bracha comes and then the mitzvah. The bracha precedes the mitzvah, like tefillin, right? First lehaniach tefillin, and then you wrap it.
Yeah.
Right? Or talit, same thing, right? First the bracha, and then the mitzvah. So the question is, why here, are we doing it the opposite way, right? So the netilat yadayim. First we wash, and then we bless. So he says, okay, that's understandable why we do that. Why? Because after all, your hands are not clean, before that. So why would you want to bless, before your hands are clean? So it makes sense to wait until you after, Okay, that's okay. But right, because your hands are dirty. If so, he says the high tama, according to this reason, since you bless before you dry it, so it's considered like before netila. In other words, why? Because in other words, he's telling you like this, right? When you wash your hands, right? What you do is you first make netilat yadayim, and then you dry, right? So therefore, it's considered to be like your blessing before the mitzvah. Why? Because the mitzvah is not completed until you dry. Understand?
So without saying the bracha when you're drying it, that's already considered as if you.
I'm sorry. What's again?
You washed your hands.
Mhm.
You didn't say the bracha, but you're drying your hands. That's already you're saying that's already considered as if you already said the bracha.
No, what we're saying is like this, right? What you're doing is you wash, you lift up your hands, right? You make the bracha, and then you dry. So therefore, it's considered to be like you did the bracha before the mitzvah. Why? Because you didn't complete the mitzvah yet until you dry. Right? You understand? I'm sorry?
Like the hands are already clean.
It's true, but it's like, without drying it, there's a lack of completion there.
Right.
Yeah. There is something like that.
Right. So, Rabbi,
Yeah.
for those who actually dry here, that's the question, right? And then you say the bracha. Is there?
Oh, is that the best way to do it? Is that what you're asking? Is the proper way to do it?
Is there an opinion?
Why is the way he said he does it this way?
You just asked. Like, if you do that.
Is that what your question was?
That was asking, yeah.
What your question was? If you wash and dry and then bless, is that the proper way to do it? That's what you're asking?
I'm saying if that's the
Is that possible? Is there any opinion that defends that sense?
The truth is that as far as I remember, the proper way is not that way. The proper way is to first bless and then to dry. And also with the meals, by the way, same thing.
What do you mean?
When you eat seudah, same idea.
Oh, I see.
You got to first bless and then dry.
I see.
And by the way, there is also another opinion, regarding that, which says that that you should bless even before you wash for meals. Nobody does that today, but there's a shita like that. Okay, whatever. I don't want to get that now. That's not a discussion. But anyway, because why? Because really your hands are not dirty at that time. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you have to walk around your hands before you eat a mid-meal. So then there's no problem to bless. So therefore they say, oh, okay, there's no problem. So then bless before, because blessing always comes before the mitzvah.
Right.
That's the idea, This is the logic.
Rabbi,
Okay, yeah.
what about candles?
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's a whole big thing there. Right, so all the Rishonim, by the way, they say that you should first bless and then light. And what happened was the Ashkenazim started to do it the other way, the other way around. So it caught on also to the Sfardim, like Sfardim are always like wannabes, Yeah, let's do Ashkenazi. Yeah. I always trying to kiss up to the Ashkenazim, Oh, please, let's worship them, they're gods, whatever.
You feel like they're more uniform.
Come on, yeah, it's like whatever.
More cohesive.
You have to have you have to have pride, a little bit, for your own community.
That's right.
Don't always want look at the other side, say, oh, I wish I was like that, Come on. That's not the way to be, So that's what happens with many things, by the way, in religion, The Sfardim get dragged along with the Ashkenazim in many things, So this was one of the things that happened like this. But the Rishonim, all they say not like that. So therefore, the rabbi said, man, it's brachal batala. There's a big concern for brachal batala, because that's not the way the sages made it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a big problem. So therefore, the rabbi was really against it. By the way, this was one of her signature, signature issues that the rabbi was very vehement, always talking about this. Don't do it, don't you dare, blah 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 blah, blah, always talking about it. Day and night. It was like an ongoing saga
What's that?
with the rabbi, regarding the candle issue. The rabbi was always talking about this. There was a few things, the rabbi had like signature, things that that he brought in, into the Sephardi world. That was one of them. Don't bless after, bless before.
So I'm sorry to get off the topic.
Yeah.
But the women they do not take on Shabbat when they light the candles, right? They wait till the.
Yeah, well, that's also there's a custom, the Ashkenazim they do, and the Sephardim we don't take on Shabbat.
No,
You know what I mean? The Ashkenazim they do though.
I see.
So we have a totally different system. These the two camps when it comes to this mitzvah. It's a different system altogether. You know what I mean?
So the Sephardi woman basically blesses, then lights, and then does
Right, and does not take on Shabbat. No.
upon
She can take on Shabbat whenever she wants. Before Shkia, whatever it is. Right?
20 minutes.
Yeah, no necessary.
That's the maximum.
Huh?
Just 20 minutes.
Regarding lighting, that's 20 minutes. But regarding taking on Shabbat, there's no limitation.
I see.
You can do 2 minutes before Shkia or 1 minute before Shkia. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. Right?
Okay. Interesting. Sorry. Okay.
Because Shkia itself is also, it's a Chumrah. You know what I mean? That we start from Shkia to Shabbat. Because really it should be from Tetek Kochavim.
Right.
So we're Machmir and we start from Shkia. So there's no reason to add another Chumrah on top of Shkia. You know what I mean? It's really no brainer there. Whatever.
Realistically, Shabbat begins at the
But there is a mitzvah of Tosefet Shabbat, there is a
right,
certain
to add to it.
to add to it, right? So what does that mean? They say, like try to add, like something, So 2 minutes is also
Addition.
yeah. Some, the Ashkenazim, some of them they do 15, This is like the average kind of mean kind of thing, median thing, But this doesn't say anywhere you have to add 15 minutes.
The adding to the Shabbat is an actual mitzvah you get a reward for.
Right, Tosefet Shabbat. It's called Tosefet Shabbat. Yeah, there's a mitzvah like also on Yom Kippur, by the way, we also have that. Tosefet Yom Kippur.
I see.
Okay, very interesting, right? So anyway, right, getting back to our issue over here. So he says, right, that Anu Merachin Otam bebeit Knesset בסמוך על מה שאפשר, ואולי דעתו גודל בנתינת אח מן הדין הוא שמברך בסמוך. But he says, even though we bless afterwards, because that's the way it is, because we don't want to bless with dirty hands. But at least, like don't wait, until you go to shul. That's already too much. Too much of a hapsek. That's what he's saying, this rabbi. You know what I mean? כל מה שאפשר, ואולי דעתו בזה שמאחר שאלו הברכות של שחרית. So he says, maybe, his reasoning is like this, that since these brachot of shachrit, אנו מברכים אותם בבית הכנסת, we bless them in the shul, right? אם כן, ברכה נטילה גם כן. So if so, the blessing of נטילה is also, אם ירצה, לחבר אותה עם האחרות, if he wants to connect those, נטילת ידיים, to the other blessings, אף על פי שלא תהיה במקומה, even though it's not going to be in this place, because you already washed at home, יכול לעשותו, you can do it. So in other words, he's trying to like justify it somewhat, but the truth is that the reasoning is not so good. I mean, it's not really very solid, this reasoning. But he's trying to defend it, whatever, somehow, whatever.
Sorry for the interruption. But where is the halacha about the delay between the action and the blessing? Like, is there a source that says you cannot do that?
Right here, you're reading it right now.
But he says you can. Like, yeah, you can.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are you talking about the candles?
No.
Then what?
The washing. Like,
Yeah.
Just a general rule that
Yeah.
you cannot make a bracha after a long time.
So let's go back on this reasoning again. What he's saying is like this, right? That really, in every case of mitzvot, the bracha should come before the mitzvah. So here we made an excuse. Why? Because your hands are not clean. So we let you wait till before you dry. Okay. But he says now, who mattered you, to wait 15 minutes until you go to shul? That's what he's saying.
No, right. At the end, he's saying like maybe because you're doing it.
Right, but that's only a maybe. That maybe doesn't mean it's halakha. You know what I mean? It's just he's saying perhaps. That was their idea. Whatever. He's entertaining. He's deliberating. Deliberation.
But is there a source to say that
Yeah.
you cannot have this delay for any bracha? Is there?
Right here, you're reading it right here.
Is it?
Yeah, there could be also other things, but
Okay.
where is he bringing this from? Like, let's just get it straight, right? Where did he get this from?
There's a book.
Samak, right? He's
Samak.
coming from Samak, yeah. This is the Rishon, you know. So you see when the Rishonim are talking about this, you know. So there you go. But the truth is, it's also in the Talmud, you know, somewhere, probably, you know, somewhere. I don't know. Check through that, but you know, it's not coming from nowhere, right? It's not coming out of the sky. This thing, right? And the idea is, you know, like when you delay it, it's hefsek, you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, just, you know, that's not the way to work,
Logically speaking, yeah.
right? You know, because as we said, right, it's really supposed to be before, you know what I mean? So how can you wait and just do it, you know, what later, what sometime later, you know,
Sounds
sometime, yeah.
Sounds Hasidic.
What about it?
They just spray it
Okay,
all
maybe, I don't know, maybe true. Okay, so anyway, right, זה שווה חשיב לזה, אבל יהוד תלמוד שכתב שאנו עושים זה בשביל שאין הידיים נקיות, but it's according to the reason that they said that we do it because our hands are not clean, אין ראוי לעשות זה, it would be proper to do it this way, אלא שיש להשיב בזה, so he says, but there's the answer, שמאחר שהברכות האחרות אין אנו מברכים, so he says, since the other blessings we don't bless אותם מיד, we don't bless them right away, סמוך לנטילה, right after the נטילה. In other words, there's no connection between the brachot and netilah. What's the connection? Right? Why should they be connected? Why should they be together? So we leave them for the shul. Right? So okay, so basically, right, he's deliberating back and forth, right, whether this is justified or not. Just to tell you, right, that Maran, as I mentioned to people before, this is the reason why he didn't like, you know, this business of, you know, first washing without a blessing, and then going to the bathroom, and then making the blessing later, because then what would happen is that you're delaying the bracha. That's exactly the problem. This is exactly why the rabbi didn't like that.
Rabbi?
You understand?
Rabbi was afraid of delaying brachot because you might die in the next second. You
Ooh.
might miss the mitzvah.
No. It's what happens is it's getting disconnected from the mitzvah. In other words, the bracha is supposed to be an accompaniment to the mitzvah. You know what I mean? So once you disconnect it, like what's, you know, it's just already in the air somewhere. You know, no connection.
I see.
You know what I mean? Are you saying something?
No, I just missed the place.
Oh, okay. So we're now up to the agur, the agur. See where that is?
Rabbi, the rabbi was concerned about which washing the bracha was for, because the first one already took away the.
Right. So then you're blessing afterwards, you know. So then you're separating the blessing from the bracha from the washing. This is the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why I didn't like doing that way. Okay, God bless his soul. He was right. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
As usual, he was right. He was always right. Okay.
Very logical man.
Okay, I tell you. Okay. I'm sorry.
A little slow.
Sure, we'll slow down. So the Ve'agur katav shenishal. I'm jumping. I'm flying like a, you know, like an eagle over here.
Okay.
Ve'agur katav shenishal mari molin. Right. So Agur says that that Mari Molin was asked a question. How is it that a person washes his hands in the morning, again, right, same thing, and he waits to bless Netilat Yadayim, until he goes to shul? How can you do such a thing like that? Same question he was asked, this rabbi. Understand?
Which rabbi?
Mari Molin, right? It's also one of the Rishonim. You know what this is? This is Maharil. The Maharil is they call him the father of the Minhagim Ashkenazim.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
How do you actually say the name?
huh?
What's the abbreviation?
the acronym?
Maharil. The actual name? I don't know. I don't recall. Okay, so anyway, right? It says איך ייתכן שאדם נוטל ידיו שחרית. So he asked this question. In other words, why is he asking this question? Because by the Ashkenazim they had this custom, you know. So he's trying to, like, you know, figure it out, like, you know, what's the pshat? Who says this? Right, as I say, right, the Ashkenazim, right? Okay, right, Yiddish, yeah. So Ad Vedkin said, "Velo hefsek hu." Isn't it hefsek? He says, well, how can we do such a thing like that? So veheshiv, and he answers, "Sheno kol kach tam mefusam." So he says, there's not really a good reason, you know. In other words, a famous reason. In other words, there's no way to justify it. Basically, that's what he's saying. Okay, aval. I'm sorry.
Just saying out of thin air that they made a disgusting.
Let's see. We gotta finish it off. Aval nirelo shedavar zeh. But he says, you know, it seems to me. In other words, you know, I'm thinking about it. You know, shedavar zeh nitkan sheyamtin es lesadam bet hakneset. So he says this was made like this to wait until you go to shul. Why? They sheishmeu amei aretz, right? Exactly, right? Amei aretz, right? You know, the shish kebab guys. You know what I mean? Those guys you gotta watch out with those guys. You know. So
Always tell them. What's the popular?
They sit here, they don't even call it-
Oh, good, okay, good point. Sometimes they go in, yeah. That's okay. Okay, so anyway, right? Ve'anu, man. So it says, Ve'anu amen. This whole thing is that we want them to answer amen to be zocheh, So, we do it for them. That's the idea, right? That's bibirkato. So it says they're gonna be fulfilled. They're gonna be fulfill the obligation with the blessing. In other words, they're gonna hear the blessing from the chazan, whoever it is, right, and fulfill it with that because maybe they don't know how to do it, whatever. Right? Can you imagine?
that bad?
These are, that's all. Ignorant people. Even though sometimes we bless in the shul. Even though there is nobody there that doesn't know. In other words, everybody knows how to bless, and we do it anyway. So then why? How is that, right? There's nobody that needs to hear that blessing from us, right? So it says, so, but there's no separation. In other words, they made it for just in case there is amaratzot, So in other words, basically, what he's saying is the Maharil, something interesting, right? That really, reason according to logic, it really shouldn't be this way. But they did it for the Amaratzot, to be mezakedem. That's the idea.
They do something.
Huh?
That they do something right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
What do
Okay,
they
yeah.
gain from saying amen to your bracha?
It's a big thing. It's a big zechut to answer amen. Yeah.
Is that
By the way, there's a Gemara. There's two opinions. Who's bigger, the one who blesses or the one who says amen? There's one opinion that says amen is bigger than the blessing itself. So it's a big thing,
Is that like because of Shachar
So-
allowed the Havana?
Right. That's the whole point. Yeah.
So the
We
reward
already
for
mentioned that
amen is
before.
immense,
Yeah.
huh?
I'm sorry.
The reward for one amen is immense.
Of course.
We say them all the time. Like it's like
Yeah, it's an incredible thing. Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, so it's an incredible power, the whole thing, right? The whole system is incredible.
Mhm.
So, okay. So it says, it seems to me though, in other words, the other rabbi is now saying, right? The one who quoted this. That he blessed Shachrit Natilat Yadayim, so he says, you know what? Better to do it at home, in other words, Do it, be a good boy. Bless it at home and don't do it in shul again. Right? So it says, whoever does that is doing good, It's a good boy.
So on the Shulchan Aruch, the Ashkenazim, I'm sorry, that they use, right? They're really positive. They're using that other opinion basically.
They're using the other opinion. Yeah, I mean,
How
yeah.
can they simply like disregard this like final statement of this opinion?
Oh, it's a good question. You know why? Because we have here two rabbis going on here, right? We have okay, let's just get it straight, right? So we can understand what just transpired here. So we said, right, the Agur, right, who's one Rishon, okay, asked he quoted Mahari Molin, who's the Maharil,
Right.
So he brought the opinion of the Maharil. The Maharil said, there is some justification for Amir Atzot.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the Agur says, for me, it's no, doesn't cut it.
So we go by
Doesn't
the
cut it.
Agur.
You understand? So we go like the Agur, those Sfarim, and the Ashkenazim, some of the Ashkenazim, maybe go like the Maharil. Because the truth is, the Ashkenazim are always regular to go like Maharil. Maharil is their big Rebbe, in Nagin.
Like him or something?
He wrote a lot of chuvot. He was a big writer, He was a big chacham, he was he had that Ashkenazi kind of approach, So he was, yeah.
It's a machloket. So the Maharil says, wash your hands, wait after the by the.
Right. Yeah, he's not even telling you to do it that way. He's just saying, it has some justification, right? In other words, leave them alone. If they want to do it that way, they have what to rely on. God bless them,
Then the Guru asks the Maharil,
Agur says it's
why
not good this thing.
The thing is that all these opinions, they have a source point in the Torah.
It's also just svara, in other words, logic, thinking, the logic, but it's all, it all comes from sources. You're right, of course, yeah, of course.
what,
Okay,
the
yeah.
abbreviation,
Ad kan leshono, right? That means it's the end of the quote. End quote.
There's the next one is Dala, but the next one
No,
after it is Bet.
No, the
Thing
Torah,
is-
no, the Torah is going for it, there's no commentary.
No.
So wait, you're talking about the Beit Yosef?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we finished it, right? Yes.
No, I think this is
The next one is Dalit, right? So we got to skip over the Gimel.
No,
That's what you're saying, right?
No, there's
There's double bid. There's
Yeah.
bid.
Okay. Yes. Okay, we got to read that. We got to read that now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll skip down to it.
Okay, let's go.
after Dala.
Ulefima.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Okay, so it says, right? Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Yitzchak, you got it?
Help
him out.
Bet,
It's right.
after that one.
Help thy neighbor.
No, we didn't got it yet. They just.
Bet.
So we just skipped down a little bit. Yeah, it was going to the second part of bet. Lufi mash katabti b'siman daled, right? So according to what we said in siman daled, b'shem tshuvat Rashba, according to Rashba, shebeshachar tiknu, in the morning they were metaken, they made a degree. Sheitol et adam yadav lefi the person should wash his hands. Lefi she'az anu na'asim kivriyah chadasha, because then we're becoming like a new creation. Right? That's the svara of the Rashba. We mentioned already before. Those are two, we call that the big three, right? The three reasons why we wash our hands in the morning. One is the Rashba, one is the Rosh, and one is the Zohar Kadosh. Right? Those are the three sources that we have. Okay? So this is the Rashba. Bria Chadasha, a new creation. God bless you. You know, your soul came back to you. You're new. You were created anew. Newborn.
That's why we watch it.
Right, exactly. So what are we doing? We're thanking Hashem. You know, you turned my neshama to me, and I became a new person. That He created us for His honor, to serve Him, to bless His name. So therefore, they made a takana and Chazal. Those blessings, you know, this is the reason why they made those blessings. That we do in every morning. Right? So it says, therefore, therefore we have to sanctify ourselves in the sanctity of the Lord. But He told Yadenu, and therefore we got to use the kli, right, to wash our hands. Like a kohen, Kohen, like he washes his hands in the basin, right? The thing that they used to use in the Mikdash. Before he does the avodah, before he does the service. Yesh tomar. There is to say, so now Maran says, according to the thinking of the Rashba, right, that the whole point is here is to sanctify yourself. To thank Hashem that you returned your soul. Bataihu afterwards, Greda. So it says, comes out from this, and since they're not done in the shul, so therefore you can do in the shul. Let me read that one more time. I didn't catch the nuance here. Again, since they're arranged in the shul. Okay, so I have to go back a little bit more. It says like this, right? Oh. You know, so you know what he's trying to say over here? Like this, you know, that maybe according to Rashba, we can say that since all these blessings are like, you know, praises to Hashem, that He made us a new creation, so therefore there's no problem to put Netilat Yadayim with also there, together with the other blessings, you know, because it's like one set of praises to Hashem. So, you know, that's the logic that he's trying to use here. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it, right? Now he reverses it.
More.
I'm sorry?
So, yeah, he's giving a secondary benefit.
Yeah, like this is close. This is very close to what the Maharil said, you know, like similar to this kind of thing. Anyway, right? He says, however, Benes Sefarad lo nahagu levarchat bet knesset, right? So, but Sefarad, right? Sefarad, we don't do
Right.
in the shul. We don't bless in the shul. Right? What does that mean? Netilat Yadayim, we don't bless in the shul. Sefarad, Sephardim.
Oh,
Right? Sefarad is Spain, yeah. Spaniards, we're all Spaniards, right? We're not really Spaniards, but
We took
it's one minhag, you know.
Right.
We're under the banner of the Sephardim.
all they were at home.
Right. Even though, by the way, today there's nothing going on in Spain today.
Yeah.
Right? It's already dead. It's been dead already for a long time.
But really,
Yeah.
just all the brachot at home.
So not all the brachot. He's telling you Netilat Yadayim. You should make it home. You know what I mean?
From the guy in the Shema up to after.
I'm talking about Netilat Yadayim.
Just like
Yeah, and the rest you can do in shul. You know, because the truth is that there's a lot of communities that do that. Yeah, that's no problem. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, but you come already after korbanot if you're serious.
But as I told you guys, right, I personally don't do it this way. I do like the Arizal, you know,
Yeah.
who says you should do them after Hatzot, you know, after midnight. You should do Birkat HaShachar. That's what I do.
If you're up, yeah.
Yeah, if you're up, yeah.
that's a midnight.
If I'm not up, I'm ashamed of myself.
Right.
I have to be.
You wake up
ashamed.
for
Never
Chatzot.
heard of that. Nobody lives
I'm
there.
sorry?
Nobody lives there, though. I mean, not-
Yeah, it's only the, the guys who are, the midnight guys, the midnight shift.
The graveyard shift.
They gotta leave, okay.
You know what I mean?
They gotta leave. We just want
Okay.
to see it.
Yeah, the
You're
truth
telling
is,
me that let's say you're sleeping, right? And your alarm.
but I will tell you guys one thing, okay? Let me just give you one point though. The truth is, I think it's a fabulous thing to do Birkat HaShachar after Chatzot, like the Arizal.
Mhm.
And the reason is because you learn better after that. For some reason,
Yeah,
the
clarify.
mochin, the brains come back, the brain power
Your Biyach HaLashar,
comes
right?
back,
So there you
I feel that, by the way, I feel it.
go. Of course.
But there's one little scary thing though regarding that. You know what it is? Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef mentioned this, by the way, in a lecture like a couple of months ago. And then when he mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, he's right. He's got a good point there. You know what he said, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef?
Oh,
He said like this, that what happens is sometimes that a person does it at night, and he goes to sleep, and then in the morning he doesn't remember if he did it. So he does it again, So it's bracha levatala, you understand?
Right,
This is what you have
right.
to be careful about.
Right.
If you're gonna do it this way, the Arizal way, don't do it twice, Something, you gotta mark it or something, I don't know, do something,
how do you forget it? You just did it.
Oh, you're
Because the person is usually used to doing it in the morning, So sometimes you don't remember. Did I do it last night? I don't know. Did I do it? Did I do it? Yeah, right. Exactly. Sometimes just the memory fades. You fell asleep, as you said.
You open the door, you're going. You hit it. What's going on?
So
No, but
yeah.
if you don't normally do this,
Yeah.
I recommend that you don't do it if you never did it before.
I mean, you got to get used to it, But the truth is, even if you do get used to it, sometimes you do forget. Sometimes you don't remember. You don't recall. Like
I mean, it's the best way to do the mitzvah, right?
I'm not telling you it's the best way. This is the way of the
According to
Kabbalah, according to the Kabbalah. There's also halakha. The Rambam says you should do it at Amud
But you told
HaShachar.
us that we should always follow the Kabbalah when it comes to prayers.
Oh, it's a good point. It's a good point. You're saying the truth is, it's not always like. In other words, it's
Right.
like there's a big influence of Kabbalah in the prayers.
Right.
It's not 100% though.
Uh-huh.
There are some things we don't do like the Kabbalah. So I would probably venture to guess. Most people do it after in the morning. They don't do it.
Yeah.
As you said. Like most people don't do it that way.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't learn after Chatzot if you don't do it.
You can learn, but as I said, like a little bit, it gets dark in the brain a little bit. The brain gets a little bit dark and cloudy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cloudy, partly cloudy. Exactly. Whatever. Not everybody feels these things. By the way, I personally, feel. Doesn't mean you feel. Doesn't mean.
Right.
Tell you something funny though. That Marana, these things affect me. Like in other words, what time I'm learning and what brachot I said. For Maran, he was a bulldozer. He went through with the Torah. Nothing stopped him. Nothing could stop him. Not brachot, not nothing. He was just learning all the time. He was so strong that he didn't need these fortifications. These supports.
Right.
He didn't need that stuff. He was so into Torah. Nothing could get him out. You know what I mean? So he was on a different level, the rabbi. You can't compare yourself to
You
him.
learn day and night and day.
Yeah, it was like, but it wasn't only that he was learning. Like he just like when he was learning. Like the reality, he lost touch with reality. He didn't know what was going on around him. He didn't even feel it anymore.
Not even the Rebbe
I mean-
could shake him out of it.
Yeah, that's the way the rabbi was. Once he got into something, like he wouldn't even notice. You pass by,
He's in the zone,
didn't the twilight zone, didn't notice nothing. That's the way he was, the rabbi.
That's very-
He was a very intense learner.
focus.
Yeah, intense focus. Yeah.
He would be there.
As I told you, there's a couple of stories I want to tell you, just to make the point, how strong he was. He was such a powerful person, that what do you call it? What happened was that one time the Rosh Mimshala, Bibi, came to visit him, So they were about to attack in Iran, So they wanted to get the rabbi's advice. Should we go or not go? Right?
Right.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, this was like 10 years ago. Okay. Bibi, the prime minister.
He came to him and he
Bibi, yeah. So Bibi came. So Bibi comes over, and he came like late night because they said, it's like security, it's better, like in other words, you could guard the place better. There's not a lot of people walking around. It's more, whatever. So he came late night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, comes in. So, so the Eli Shai, who was the time the leader of the politics, Shas. So he took Bibi into the room, where the rabbi was learning, So the rabbi, like didn't even notice him, like he just kept on learning.
I've heard that he's waited for
Yeah.
an hour.
So he just, kept on learning, and so Elisha tells the Bibi, says, do you want me to stop him? He doesn't see you, doesn't notice that you're here. Yeah. So Bibi told him, no, he says, no, let him keep learning. He says, I'll wait.
He understood
So
the value of
can
Torah.
you imagine? He has
Of course, he
anaba,
knows.
humility, So he comes from good roots, by the way, this guy, you
Yeah,
know?
sure.
He himself is not religious, but
Right.
comes from good
there's
roots.
a good root, yeah.
so
Well, they fear. They fear.
so they said like 15 minutes later, the rabbi looked up and noticed him, 15 minutes, like he looked up and noticed him. He says, "Oh, he says, come in," told him. He says, finally, he had to like sit there 15 minutes. Can you imagine the prime minister, just waiting in the waiting room, That's the way
Probably
it
got a
was.
lot of schools for that too.
That's the way the rabbi was, when he was inside the learning, nothing could stop him, you know what I mean? He was invincible. That's the way it was. Another story I'll tell you, which I saw myself with my own eyes. This one I just heard from people, but everybody knows about it. But something I saw with my own eyes, which is incredible. We used to daven shachrit at 7 o'clock over there, and 8 o'clock, we were done pretty much, right? More or less, right? 8:15, whatever. So they didn't have Kabbalah Kahal. He would take people, with questions, He would sit in his room. Everybody who had questions would come in, He had to make an appointment, by the way. He was heavy duty,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Like
so 10 minutes, right? Yeah, halakha questions, all kinds of things. Yeah, all kinds of things. Blessings, questions. You know how it is. Everybody wants a different thing. Everybody's got a different menu. There's a different item on the menu. So once he finished that, he would just go upstairs. He would have first, he would have like a discussion with the politicians, with Shas, like what to do that day. He would instruct them, like do this, don't do this, don't do this, right? Okay, 5 minutes. So another 15 minutes, he was already done with that. The whole thing. He would just go upstairs. Once he went upstairs, he started to learn. That was it. Story's over. So what happened was like this, right? That so once he went up there, they say that you couldn't stop him anymore from learning. Like that was just it was just not possible.
I mean,
That was it. Once he started, don't even try, right? Don't even make an attempt. So what happened was, right?
What
That
was he learning?
there was he was learning, his material, halakha mostly. He was in chidushim, in halakha, whatever questions, what kind of things. So here's the thing, right? So one day, there was this rabbi who came from the north, which is like a 3-hour drive to come to Yerushalayim. You know what I mean? He had an appointment with the rabbi, to come and see him. He was the chief rabbi of some town in the north, some little dinky town, whatever, right? So he had an appointment at 8 o'clock. Came late, came like 8:20. The rabbi's already upstairs. He drove 3 hours.
Right.
So he comes to Tzvi, who was the gabbai, or the rabbi, the shamash. So he tells him, he says, "I'm sorry, I'm late." He says, "But I gotta speak with the rabbi. I have an issue I have to deal with, over there. I gotta talk with the rabbi." So Tzvi tells him no, and says, "You cannot go in anymore." He says, "He went upstairs. That's it. Once he goes upstairs, you can't see him anymore. That's it. He doesn't stop learning." So he told him, he says, "Come back tomorrow." He tells him, can you imagine? He has to drive another 3 hours, to come back tomorrow. That's what he told him. In other words, he told him, basically what he told him is like this, right? Your 3 hours is less important than the rabbi's 5 minutes, that has to tell you now. That's what he told him.
So he left.
So 3 hours coming and 3 hours going back. 6 hours, the whole day is driving. Understand? But once the rabbi started, that's it. You couldn't get in there. It was impossible to get in. So this is the way the rabbi was. He was incredible.
Until what? When we stopped?
Oh, well, he used to, forget to eat. He wouldn't even eat lunch. The breakfast. He was always forgetting to eat.
Breakfast was a piece of bread and coffee. That was all you-
They used to leave him lunch. When they used to go to the work. He would eat his daughter-in-law. Leave him like some chicken. Something. Some potatoes or rice,
Yeah.
whatever. So they would come home. 6, 7 o'clock after they work. The whole family. They would see that it's still there. Nobody ate it. They would tell the rabbi. What happened, Rabbi? You didn't eat lunch? So he would tell him, "Oh," he says, "I forgot to eat." Wow, he says, "I forgot. Sorry." That's the way he was. Okay, whatever, right? That's the way he was. Yeah, the rabbi was incredible. He was incredible. Don't even try to, to say, you're on that level because but it's so far from that. Oh my God.
Any of his boys like that?
I'm sorry.
Any of his boys like that?
Not exactly that level
Like,
the
not-
rabbi
not
is,
exactly that, but is there any, like,
I mean, I would say that that Rabbi Yitzchak resembles him the most, and that's why he made him the chief rabbi. He resembles him the most. But even he, is not there. Believe me when I tell you, he's not on that level.
Tell me that there's nobody in the world that will become at his point.
Yeah, I can't tell you. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
Okay, so as we said, right, getting back to our issue. But he says the Sfarad, right? The Sfaradim don't do this. We don't do it. Everyone does his home. על נטילת ידיים, ואשר יצר, right, אשר יצר, בית הכנסת מתחילים מאלוהי נשמה. Look what it says, right? When you come to shul, they start אלוהי נשמה. So you see from there, right? But that they used to do like the blessings over here, Birkat Hashachar. That's the way it was. V'chen ikar. So it says Maran, this ikar. As we said, right? According to Kabbalah, you're supposed to do it after Chatzot. Okay, whatever. Just pointing it out to you, so you should know both sides. Okay, so let's look at the Shulchan Aruch, right? Bets.
Yes.
Will he ever learn at home or is he going to yeshiva?
He was always at home, the Rabbi.
He will learn at home.
His home was the yeshiva. Right. With
he
older
ever-
people, that's the way it is, by the way. The older guys,
Yeah.
they just learn at home. They don't go to the yeshiva. You know why? Because people bother them there. They're too famous,
Yeah.
If the rabbi would go to yeshiva, they would never stop bothering him.
I see. Would he ever spend time with his family?
He did, yeah, he did. Grandchildren.
He
All
was
kinds
like
of
a
stuff.
distant guy.
No, he was nice. He was a good family man. But there was limits. There was limitation.
Yeah.
You couldn't, push him too much. Okay, so let's do Shulchan Aruch.
Yesh Nagin, right?
I mean, having a grandfather like that must be.
Yeah,
really
yeah, it was
intense.
amazing. They got incredible. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
It's so Yesh Nagin, right?
I'll tell you in a second. Mechila. So yeah, so we're doing Siman Vav Mechila. Yeah. Just have to bring it up. Sorry. Okay, so it says, Yesh Nohagim, right? Some, as we said, right, wait till they come to the shul to say Netilat Yadayim. ומסדרים את אותו עם שאר ברכות, הם דיברו the other ברכות. ובני ספרד לא נהגו כן, ספרד no. ספרד don't do this. ועל כל פנים, says the רמה, לא יברך בית פעמים, right? But don't do it twice, the רמה says, right? As we said, right? Don't bless twice. You already blessed one time. That's all you need. ומי שמברכים ביתו, and somebody who does in his house, לא יברך בית כנסת. Therefore, don't do it again in the shul, right? What are you doing? Double job? What are you doing? Double. וכן מי שמברכים בית הכנסת, also whoever does it in shul, right? לא יברך בבית. Don't do in the house. לא יברך בביתו. ומי שלומד קודם שייכנס לבית הכנסת, whoever is learning before he goes to shul, he says, right? They like to learn before shachrit, right? או מתפלל קודם, or he's praying before, יברכם בביתו, then he should do in his house.
Right.
ולא יברך בית כנסת, don't do in the shul.
Mm.
So what is he trying to tell you? Right? You shouldn't be learning without doing Birkat Hashachar.
So we just talked about
Yeah,
this.
obviously.
Because you got to do Birkat Torah. You can't learn without that.
Yeah, we just said this.
So-
That's what you did.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, ואפילו בהק כי הגוונה, but nevertheless, he says, יש נוהגים לסדרם עם שאר ברכות. Some also do it anyway, in either way. They do it with Knesset. In other words, these also as we said, right? They want to come to the shul and do it over there. They're not so medactic about these things, They're not so particular about these things. They like the group feeling, the group sensation, They're all, it's also together. Yeah, they like that. Yeah.
Herd energy.
It's
herd-
good for
herd
them.
mentality.
I like that.
Maybe not
Okay,
doing
so
it
אפילו בהקי הגוונה יש נוהגים לסדרם עם שאר ברכות. ואין מרחים ביתם, they don't do in the house.
right.
Okay, so there are some, he brings the Maharil, right, as we said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's that.
That's that.
It's very important to know these halachot, then, the very practical things.
100%.
Back, yes.
I mean, look, he even references what you do, basically, what we mentioned.
Yeah, not exactly though, because he's talking more like in the morning, not when you wake up at night,
Chatzot
right?
actually is the morning.
Not really, no. We
No.
call that in the morning in English, but in Hebrew it's not called morning. It's still called night. You know what I mean?
Okay, see.
Chatzot.
The merciful
Yeah.
part of the night.
Yeah, exactly. It's the second part of the night. So, okay,
Right now,
so
let me ask you, when does the third watch begin?
you divide up the night into like 4 hours each, so it's after 8 hours of the night.
Like right now, we're in the first watch.
Ooh, I have to calculate that, but you're probably right. You're probably right. But I have to make a calculation. I'm not usually used to doing that, making these
Right, right,
calculations.
right.
I think I need a calculator.
And then
I'm
Chatzot,
serious.
and then Chatzot,
Yeah,
and
do this very accurately, it's the calculation.
yeah,
There's all kinds of questions, do you go like Rabbeinu Tam, like the Geonim,
right.
you're gonna
right.
come out with a different answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a whole discussion, how to do that.
Then we go by the Or Sameach.
Omnam, right? That's where we are. Omnam in Bet Yosef?
Yeah. No.
Tour, right?
Yes.
Tour, yes.
We have time for another one?
Yeah, we should probably do another one because we started late. Omnam, there's too much politics. Right?
Flashback moment.
Yeah, the truth is, it's all Sahara, all this stuff, it's all Sahara.
Yeah.
Just stay away from it. Stay away from it. Just be to Torah. So it says like this, right? Omnam. Yeah. Im yivarech miyad antinat yadayim, he's going to bless right away, antinat yadayim, be'asher yatzar. Yesh omrim shetzarich lomar miyad acharei Elohai neshama. Some say you have to do Elohai neshama connected with that, There's a shita like this. Ad baruch atah Hashem ha'machazir neshamot v'kayim mitim. So you have to connect these brachot according to the shita. There are some who hold this way, by the way, The Gra says you don't need to, but why is that? Because it's really together with Asher Yatzar, it says, Elohai Neshama. It's one like unit.
The article, Rabbi, what is the Sapphire article?
That why you should do it this way? Okay, interesting. What, he obligates it or just says it's good to do it that way? Obligates it.
Rabbi
Okay.
says that,
Yeah.
Copy, it says there?
I would say that's a little bit exaggerated.
No, not that. I didn't do it. It's a part of that school.
It's interesting. You guys have the Sephardi art scroll, Siddur? How is it? Is it good?
Right.
Any good?
You mean the app or the actual?
The real Siddur, the real.
Yeah,
My app
I
is
only
doing the
used it
same.
maybe one
But
time.
the question is,
and
are the
that's it.
halachot accurate there, or are they just like all kinds of
I'll give you a
strange
copy,
stuff?
you look at it.
Okay, from left field, I don't know.
The
Okay, but it looks nice though. I must say, it looks has a nice jacket.
Yeah.
Looks
Not
beautiful.
Oh, it's not article, I'm sorry.
Which one is it?
I said the
Is
passport.
this one, or it's a party?
Oh, Orot, yeah, Orot. Yeah, that guy, he didn't bring the psakim of the rabbi. He used like Kafachaim, and he used like the older authorities because he was afraid to use the rabbi, because he thought they wouldn't be able to sell the books. He lives in Lakewood, so over there there's a lot of pressure, a lot of politics. Again, back to politics. Right?
It all comes back.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, right?
So
What's
really,
the best you do to use?
I'm sorry.
What's the best you do to use?
You're talking about the English?
Yeah.
I personally don't use any English Siddur because I don't think any one of them are really, really that good. I think you should buy Yechavedat, or Chazon Ovadia, because these Siddurim are checked by the rabbi. Everything is 100% like the rabbi. Not Avodat Hashem, no.
no?
That's not bad. Not bad. Even though the rabbi wrote something on that.
Copy of his
Yeah.
signature and all.
Right.
that.
Yeah, he wrote on it, but the truth is, it's not his shita. This Siddur. To be honest with you, there's a lot of things over there which are not his shita.
Old Yosef Chai is.
No, there's two of them: Chazon Ovadia and Yechavedat. Those are the two that are really according to the rabbi. He himself, by the way, was praying in Yechavedat with Yechavedat. That's what I use, and he corrected things over there. So, like, Yechavedat is 100% like what the rabbi, shita of the rabbi, 100%. Sorry? That one is also good. Yes. You know what the difference is? Yechavedat was done by David, and this one is done by Yitzchak. It's different. Two different competing factions in the family.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
You're saying that the David is
more politics.
David is better. You're saying.
Huh?
David,
I'm not saying it's better. The truth is, Chazon Ovadia was written first,
I see.
and then he did. But the difference is, as I said, the rabbi personally used Yechavedat. In other words, in his shul, that's what they had. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a tried and proven siddur. But if you want something English, that's a different story.
I see.
Right. So two
You're
says.
not going to get 100% accurate with the English siddur. But you do the best you can. What can you do? Huh? Yeah, Yechavedat. Yeah. There's a large size also. If you want to get the large size, they have it on Main Street. You can just buy it there.
Yeah.
Gift World, whatever.
So two says.
$12. Yeah.
So two says if you emit Asher Yatzar, right away say Elokan Neshama.
Right. There are some who say like that, right? ולפי שהיא סמוכה לברכה דשייצא, לכן אינה פותחת בברוך. Therefore, this is the reason why it doesn't open with the baruch, because it's like two adjacent blessings. ויש אומרים שאין צריך. Some say you don't need that, right? לומר מיד אחריה, right afterwards. מה שאין...
Why would it be adjacent? It's two different.
They're connected, connected, like Siamese twins, connected together.
No.
It's like it's a set of brachot, that goes together,
They're related.
Like I'll give you an example, right? A set of brachot, like Birkat Torah, three blessings in a row. That's like a set. It's all together,
Right.
So this is also a set, that's what he's trying to say.
Yichvod and Ashrei.
He's talking about
The same kind of,
What do you call it?
No,
I'm
it's
sorry? Right, Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama, yeah.
right. So it's like a similar concept. You see Yichud, after right when you finish it, go to the right Asher Shvetech, so don't stop.
Ooh, okay, that's
Same
interesting.
kind of thing, or
Ooh, I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say.
I just remember hearing
Yeah,
after you went to eat Yichud in the morning.
okay.
Say Hashem Hashem Menachem Koren, so right Asher Shvetech, don't make a pause. Just go right away.
I don't understand that. What does that mean?
I don't know. That's what I heard. Maybe I misunderstood
Show me the
something.
Siddur if you want to show me.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
not,
if
not exactly sure what that means, but you guys understand what he's saying?
Basically, some prayers, like there says, don't pause. Go directly into the prayer. Don't pause between the prayers.
But between what and what?
Yichud and Asher. After Hashem.
Ah, don't
Hashem
pause,
Menachem
go directly.
Korenu, Asher
Okay,
Shvetech,
okay. Okay, that's interesting. But right there, it's just prayers, it's more like mizmorim. But here we're talking about blessings, a little bit different, a little bit different.
Somebody said something. Oh, big.
Yeah, there's a lot of things there, yeah,
People
but
make up nonsense all the time.
a lot of chumrot over there, in these Siddurim sometimes.
And that's
Like the Ben Ish Chai, like, all kinds of Kabbalistic things,
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's okay, it's fine. So anyway, right, as we said, right, that some say you don't need that, right? Why doesn't it open with Baruch if they're separate blessings? Because it's Thanksgiving. Like the rains. That doesn't open Baruch. So that's, he says, more the proper one. So two also holds, right, that you don't need to connect. You don't need to connect them. Right, so okay, I don't know why he got this siddur over there, this whole thing, a little bit exaggerated. So it also comes out in Gemara like that. Right? Brachot. The Kamar, it says over there, when a person wakes up from the sleep, Lema Elohai Neshama, he should say Elohai Neshama. Right? And afterwards, when he washes his hands, Lema Natilat Yadayim. Right? Natilat Yadayim. The Rambam, that's the way he does it, the Rambam. We don't do it that way. But you see from there, right, that these two things are not connected.
You say
In the Talmud, it's the opposite. Right? It's the opposite.
You don't say Modanis Elokai Neshama right away.
Yeah, the truth is, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, like this, a lot of people think Moldan is such a big thing, but it's really just a minhag, like I don't even think it's mentioned in the Talmud, this whole thing. It's a minhag, that came in somewhere. It's not a big, 10 Commandments, it's not one of those things,
Right, but the
Yeah.
problem you haven't watched yet.
Yeah.
And at the end of the Elohai Neshama, there's a bracha.
Yeah, it's a good question. I know what you're asking. Yeah, okay, so it seems to say that it's okay, In other words, he's trying to tell you like this, you know what the reason is? According to this logic. The logic is that you have to do it right away when you wake up because Hashem returned your neshama. You got to think him right away. That's the logic of it,
Right.
Like we say in Modiani, right? Same thing, Yeah.
Makes sense,
No,
but
Yeah, there's some kind of logic to it. We don't do it that way, but the Rambam seems to paskin that way. That's
the
interesting,
Rambam
right?
did it like this.
Yeah, that's what he says.
You
Yeah.
have to say Elokai Neshama when you wake up.
Right. We don't do it that way. It's
What
not the way we do it.
What's the reason behind it?
As we said, right, when Hashem returns your neshama, so you got to thank him right away, with no
That's
delay.
why the Modani for that.
Yeah. So in other words, I don't think they even said Modani in those days. So this was their Modani. Understand? It was in the place of the Modani. That's the way it is. Okay, whatever. Modani is a nice thing, but you're even allowed to say it with the Ruach Ra, right? We do it before the Tzilat. So you see from that, it's not really so important. If it was really something important, we would have till afterwards.
Then here's the thing. Then how according to Rambam you can bless and then wash your hands after? How does that work?
Because we already said, right, you're allowed to do Birkat HaShachar before Netilat Yadayim. There is if you don't have water. But here he's talking about you have water. You have water, but since you need to bless right away, because when you wake up, your neshama came back, so you do it right away.
Yeah, I understand. It's stuck with like the way we still Rambam. Like it's something and here, no, I hear.
Right. Yeah. No, you know what it is. I'll tell you something. You guys are coming, like new to a class like this, Bet Yosef learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the thing with Bet Yosef learning, it's like there's a lot of opinions going on, So it can confuse you, Like the person that is not used to it gets confused. Like, what? Didn't we just say the opposite? What? Now you're saying this way? What happened? Because this is the way it is in Torah. In Torah, there's different opinions. So you gotta get used to that. The mind has to get used to it. A person who learned in yeshiva when he was a boy, these Ashkenazi yeshivot. He gets used to that because they teach him over there, logic, Gemara, this one says like that, this one says like that, going back and forth, the arguments, blah blah blah.
That's why they do it like that only,
Yeah, the whole point, of learning Gemara that way is to train you to think, to think properly. You know what I mean? That's the whole idea. This is what you're supposed to get when you're young, young gherkin, in yeshiva. That's what you're supposed to do before you get married, Okay, whatever, right? So if you
now, right?
yeah, if you skip, you have to, you got to start sometime. Whatever.
Right. Like it's done.
Okay, as we said, right? The halacha is that the Khatam Sofer paskins. The rabbi also paskins this way. Man, if a person has 3 hours or less to learn every day, he should learn only halacha, not anything else, because otherwise you'll never finish the halacha in his life. You'll never know the halachot. That's why they paskins. It's hard to do it this way, for some people, because they can't learn 3 hours a day. It's too much for them. So whatever you can do, you do the best you can.
But is this the way to learn for a regular balabat?
No, it's not for regular balbatim. It's not for the shishku balbatim.
This for me is
Not for them.
This for me is pretty hard to grasp.
Of course, it's hard. When you start something like this, it's going to be difficult. But what happens is when you sit in for a while, the mind starts to get used to it.
And then you'll repeat it
I
again.
don't think it's
and
hard.
Yeah.
I just think it's like you have to just like compartmentalize the opinions.
I mean, it takes time for the mind to get. By the way, I personally, when I started learning Talmud, the Gemara, when I was a kid, it really was hard for me. That beginning was really difficult. I must say it was really hard. How old was I when I started doing Gemara? Like seriously? Oh God, I was like, I don't know, 21, 22. Yeah, that's when I started.
Rebbe started.
I wasn't learning Gemara in high school. I was in Far East High School.
What?
Yeah.
No,
You serious?
Yeah, of course.
my
yeah.
mind just.
But you said that you were learning Chavetz Chaim.
I did after high school.
Aren't you?
Chavetz Chaim is also after high school. You know what I mean? I didn't learn Chavetz Chaim in high school. I learned the Chavetz Chaim Bet Midrash.
Post high school.
Right, post high school.
Michael Rabbeinu, aren't you Chacham Obadiah's
Yeah, I was with him around 15 years, but I was already much older at that time.
Just out of curiosity, how does Rebbe begin it? Because I know not just anybody comes into like in general to his No, I'm not defending
Wait.
Rebbe. I'm just saying because I don't know, just not.
Wait, are
anybody
you asking
can-
about Rav Ovadia? How I got to Rav Ovadia?
If you walk in, you gotta just
Yeah.
stick around.
You know what it is, my friend? When Kadosh Baruch Hu sees that you're serious, he'll take you right there. He'll take you. He'll just take you right there. You have to be a serious learner. You know what happened? When I started to learn, here in Queens, I got very serious. I started learning all day. So once that happened, Hashem knew that I needed a better place. So He moved me to Israel. That's what happened. Right now, by the way, in Israel, you won't find, like what I had. It's not there anymore. You won't find that. You'll find something, like something, but not that level. I mean, you're not gonna find it. But what call it? It's just Hashem put me there because He knew I had to be there. In other words, the next step in my growth was that step. When you try hard, Hashem pushes you into the right place.
Yeah,
When you were younger, you were learning more, or you're learning more now?
God, it's like it's already become like a habit in my life. Like I don't know
Who
anything
you
else
are.
anymore.
Who you
I don't know anything else.
but at that time, wasn't there a language barrier? I'm assuming.
I
Rebbe's
spoke
gonna
to
Hebrew.
people about this. We
Told me how to
at
do it.
length, with Yitzchak and with Nisim. It was like 3-4 years of learning to get through that barrier.
So how did Rebbe communicate? There's no. I'm assuming they have no.
What you're
for it.
talking about speaking Hebrew?
Yeah.
Well, I started first learning Hebrew here, in Queens, because I went to some kollels here which are learning in Hebrew, and I started to listen, and I also was learning in the books, so I was getting familiar with it, little by little. So what happened was that by the time I got to Israel, I was already, pretty decent in Hebrew, like in other words, to understand. But then what happened was like I got into the modern Hebrew over there, and that stuff is really like complicated, quite complicated. It's a different format a little bit, So it took me like 6 months, a year to get used to that also.
Yeah.
To get used to modern Hebrew.
'Cause
So-
English kind of mixed in there.
It's not only English, it's just like it's a style, certain kind of stylistic kind of thing going on there, The truth is, the elites over there in Israel, they speak a pretty good Hebrew, pretty fancy, fancy schmancy, pretty fancy stuff.
Elegant.
Elegant stuff, pretty elegant, I must tell you. They're not so serious about Torah, but they're very serious about Ivrit. Ivrit, oh, yeah. That's why it's something else.
Tradition matters.
You know what I mean? Okay, let's go to Shulchan Aruch, right? Finish it off.
What about Bet Yosef?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done, right? Sorry, no, there was a tour, right? I'm sorry, Mechila, yeah, that was a
so
tour.
we
Yeah.
go to-
Let's go to Bet Yosef. So Bet Yosef, Mechila. So as we said, right, Bet Yosef says, Omnam, right? We're starting from Omnam. You got the place, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it says, I'm skipping down. It says, V'chen katav Rosh b'tshuva. The Rosh says in Tshuva, Klal Dalid, right? Same thing that we just saw here. In other words, the Tur, what he brought here is also on the Rosh. So the Tur got it from the Rosh, Tichara. Right? Yuchal Dalid, Siman Aleph, V'zeh Leshono. This is the language of Boris Torah. V'boker lo yafsik ben bracha d'asher yatzar, Devukan Neshama. It says it says the Rosh, you shouldn't make a hefsek between this and that, right? Asher yatzar, and like we said, right? Devukan Neshama. Ki, he's smuchala, because it's like, it's one unit. L'chen data Geonim says, oh, Geonim hold that way. Wow, interesting. L'chen ena motachat bebaruch. That's why it doesn't open with the word baruch. V'yesh shomrim she'en tzarich. Some say you don't need it, right? As the Torah said, right? Some say you don't need that. So I'm skipping down. Ken katvu a Tosfot. Also Tosfot says you don't need it, right? Perek ze ayakoreh. The Perek Shlosham Nashachlu. 2 places in Tosfot. The Perek Arabei Psachim. 3 places, right? In Tosfot, right? Gabe kol brachot, regarding all the blessings. Poteach bebaruch, v'chotem bebaruch, v'chen ikar. So it says Maran, ikar is what? That we don't need it. You don't take it. So how did this chatzuf in the Siddur right against Maran? It's kind of thing. I can't think that. Okay, so let's go to Shulchan Aruch. Get a smack him down, this guy. Get a smack down.
There's wild
I'm
things
joking.
in this world.
I'm joking. So, so it says in the Shulchan Aruch, right? Got it, everybody?
You cut in the finish, huh?
Right. Got it? Yitzchak.
Mhm.
Okay. So Yosef, got it?
Okay.
Yosef always has it. Okay, I don't have to ask him. There's no reason to ask. But Brakat Elokan Neshama. So it says the blessing in the Neshama. Ena potachat baruch. Doesn't open with baruch, right? So there's a reason for that. They say why? Because according to this theory, the reason is because it's connected with the other blessing. So when it's connected, they don't say baruch. It doesn't open with baruch. It's like a rule like this, in blessings. Because it's a Thanksgiving, it says. And Thanksgiving doesn't open with baruch. Like with the blessing of the grains. So what he's trying to say is here, what he's implying here? The reason that it doesn't open with baruch is not because they're connected, it's because it's a Thanksgiving. So therefore he's paskening that you don't need to connect them.
I see.
That's what's implied in his words over here. Hope you guys are following me.
Yeah.
After we just
Okay.
like maybe
Yeah, it needs to be good to review.
a good minimum
Yeah.
of 50 times.
Review with your brother, maybe, So do some review together.
You don't have to
I
do
do
it
that
for
for
this.
Oh, take it home.
Really?
Yeah, you don't have to leave it here. What? I want to leave it for Elo? What am I gonna? Elo stolen.
What's the one that you walk in and like
Oh, sorry.
he became a Talmud Chacham, he's learning all the books nonstop,
I'm sorry. What's that again?
You walk inside the room one time and he's learning all these books,
Cool.
This guy Elo.
Elo.
You never knew,
Yeah.
This Rabbi's personal